All right. Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone for today's webinar on unlocking the power of customer connection in shopping malls. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the session, Mr. Jonathan Yat, Head of Operation and Customer Success at Gopalan Mall. And Jonathan will guide us through the today's session discussion and introduce our esteemed speakers shortly. And I would also like to apologize or inform you that one of our speakers from Sri Lanka will not be able to join us due to some urgent moment meeting. But I hope you're gonna enjoy the session today with our esteemed speaker. Over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another RICS webinar. And this is an interesting webinar because very often people seem to think that customer service is the exclusive domain of shops and businesses, hotels and restaurants. And the question that has to be asked is that only a few people actually ask, can shopping centers offer good customer service as well? So the topic of today's conversation is considering the physical, the digital, the phygital, the online, the offline. Can shopping centers offer good customer service? And our conversation is going to cover the unlocking of the power of customer connections in malls, with customers, but in the real world. I've always thought that shopping center management and customer service is a contact sport. You have to be present in order to play the game and in order to offer good service. And I've suggested some talking points and questions that I'm going to raise with our panelists. And that I know, knowing both Dhiraj and Jamina for many, many, many years, is that they are both experts in their respective fields. They are passionate about shopping centers, marketing, malls, customer service, retailing, and they are absolutely clued up in respect of the latest trends in our topic, all about customer service and touch points within shopping centers. Usually in a live in-person webinar, I always point and say, the bathrooms are over there. And if you've got a question, put your hand up. We have to do things a bit differently. I just need access to the chat, please, Dimple. And that way you can keep identifying any interesting conversation points or questions, because they're really only going to be the three of us. There's Jamina Menon, an expert in shopping center and marketing from a business and a hands-on application point of view, and Dr. Dhiraj Donga. Both, in fact, all three of us are RICS members. We have the honor of being RICS members for many, many, many years. So I'm hoping that actually on this call are a whole group of people who are aspiring RICS members, candidates, and young, youthful RICS members who are looking at this session and considering being more involved in the organization, considering the incredible depth of knowledge, expertise, and willingness to participate in their respective industries to make sure that people grow into a surveyor's position and opportunity for real estate here in Southeast Asia. I also want to welcome our Indian and our Sri Lankan colleagues. And I understand that this is open, Sheetal, to Southeast Asia. So that's Thailand and other countries as well. So big welcome and thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to kick off, Dhiraj and Jamina, and pretend that it's just the three of us, not the 900 other people in the room. Pretend that it's just the three of us. And I'm going to ask, you know, a mall is a very big place. So is good customer service practical and feasible? And I'm wondering, either of you can kick off, but we're going to have this conversation. And as you well know, there are a bunch of questions and a bunch of talking points, but my job as moderator is to get what's in your head out. and then hopefully to get more and more of the participants and people online to understand the concepts and to be involved and to ask questions and that sort of thing. So I'm opening up the question. First question: the mall's a huge place. Is it practical and feasible to offer good customer service in a shopping center environment?
You want me to answer that?
Start, please.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to speak with the India perspective as of now because I haven't been to a shopping mall in Sri Lanka. I've been to shopping malls in Singapore, but again, not in Thailand. Uh, I'll say the concept of customer service, whether it's in shopping malls or in retail, is still not prevalent in India, uh, especially in organized retail. You would think it will be the other way around, but the customer service, uh, I'd say whether it comes from the retailer. I mean, shopping malls are the next entity. More important would be the retailer, but I find that also lacking when I compare it to the Western world, where I have seen and utilized customer service and also deployed uh, different customer service policies and strategies and stuff like that. When I say uh, I'll give you an example. I mean, if I was in a mall in India, I'll give you first a retailer example, and then we'll move to the shopping mall. If I am at a store in India, a main store, and if I like a particular shirt, and if unfortunately they do not have my size, uh, I find it very hard to communicate with the person standing behind the desk to tell him that, can you please check if any of the other stores has it? And if they do, can they ship it to me or I can pick it up? I mean, unless I press on it, they would never do it. It was never an option given. It was always unless. So, I mean, I feel the lack of customer service when it comes to uh, one-on-one at a retailer establishment as well is quite lacking. Uh,
And that and
Coming
that's from a
back,
shopping center point of view. Sorry, that's from a
yes,
retailer
I'll give it.
perspective, but from a
Yeah.
shopping center
So,
point of view,
yeah, shopping center perspective, again, most India shopping malls, I'd say maybe about 85% of them are straight sold. The moment you get into a straight sold mall, the and the developer has washed off their hands of the mall, the the question of customer service becomes very, very minuscule. Okay. uh, Although, I mean, the malls which large companies who are owning, which are not sold, which are on a lease model, does give a lot of liberty to the developer if they want to really engage with the clients. Uh, Having said that, do I see much of that happening? Not beyond, can I help counter or you know, I don't see a complete integration, or I don't see the mall developers going out of their way in engaging with the end user. I don't see much of mall loyalty programs. I don't see, basically using technology in terms of doing geolocations or geometric marketing happening that much in Indian malls. And if it is, it'll be the percentage would be very less. Uh, and I would not comment at all on the straighter sold malls because they will be, and you'll, Donovan, please disagree if I am not right, or Jamina, you also can add, uh, because I feel if it's a straight sold mall, there is no ownership. So the developer has very limited choices, so they basically are, all they're doing is engaging with a operations company and giving them the operations, because their interest is gone. So, I mean, I'm just giving you the perspective of customer service in India. Uh, and then, of course, there's a
Okay.
lot of scope. There's a lot of scope, uh, which can be, we can adhere to, and where we can really utilize, uh, various means and tools which are available this day and age, especially analytics, uh,
Cool.
that can be very, very customer friendly.
So if I can kick it up a little notch and say,
Right.
Jamina, in your perspective, in actively managing the marketing of a very big mall here in Bangalore, for example, and having previously been involved in the positioning and the marketing of India's, at the time, largest shopping center, good customer service, I feel, is practical and feasible. And I'd like you to amplify what form that service can take in your experience.
So, I think my perspective here is that, to answer your original question, is it really possible in large malls? I don't think customer service has to do with size, it has to do with the mindset. So, if you do have a mall management team which is oriented towards customer service, whatever your size, you will get that. Secondly, when you're, top of customer service, I think there are two parts to it. First part is what I believe are the basic and hygiene. When a person shifts from a high street to a mall, that is a more controlled environment, they do it for a lot of reasons. Earlier it was spoken, now where malls are many and customers go regularly, it is kind of understood. So, basics of how easy it is to enter and exit the mall and your parking, things like your toilets and facilities, things like your mall directories so that they can organize their shopping trip. So I think these hygiene factors, if you take into account, you've solved a base level problem. Next level is where you are really working with your merchandise mix as well as your marketing calendar. So are you really having the right retailers for your audience? Because even retailer is actually a mall service. That's your main service. Second is what are the kind of events and activations? Are you making festive shopping easier? Are you making sale shopping valuable that they come offline versus go online? How are your retailers performing? How is the retailer customer service? Because in mall management, as we know, while we run the malls, the customers are actually interacting daily, day in and day out with the retailers, not with the mall team, except perhaps the customer service desk. And I think just taking from Dheeraj's points, um, we need to accept over here that most of the discussion we are having is going to go towards grade A leased malls. There are grade B malls, there are strata sold malls, but we know what are the inherent problems there. And I think customers are also knowing that, and there is a reason why those malls do not do as well as the other malls. So I think if you're talking of a grade A mall, customer service is very much present. And I was honestly very surprised when Dheeraj spoke about, not perhaps getting products of his size, because I have seen at least retailers in our mall themselves say, hey, we will get you this size. They are quickly logging into their backend system. It's either there at an Indiranagar store, at a Phoenix store, and ma'am, give us your address. And there are times where the product actually reaches from another store to my house through a delivery service before I reach from the mall to my house, even if the mall particularly where I have gone hasn't got the product. So I think retailers are realizing that, and mall teams are realizing that you're competing with online, so you need to kind of really give similar kind of a timeliness to it, because online offers timeliness and range. So how do you really kind of build on it? That's
Yeah.
my perspective.
Well, I want to give an example of a mall that offers its own type of shopping center service. It's the IFC in Hong Kong. when I was there a couple of years ago, I remember standing in a queue because the general manager had asked me to do so. And when I got to the front of the queue, somebody had loaded my photograph and my name. And the person at the counter said, "Hello, Monsieur, welcome. We see this is your first visit." Scary. Then they said, "And we have a special gift for you. But we've been asked just to give you both. We've got the pink for the ladies and the blue for the boys. And this is our little gesture for you. Thank you and enjoy." And what I found was so amazing was that all the ladies from Hong Kong who have Rolls Royces and they are all chauffeur driven were standing in that queue just to get their little pink bag or their little blue bag. And in the bag, I still remember coming home, and Jamina, you know my wonderful wife, Tracy, she opened the packet and in there was a full Chanel gift of the latest perfume, little one, and something else, and mascara and all that sort of thing. I thought that was actually quite amazing. And when I asked the manager of the shopping center, big shopping center called IFC in Hong Kong, I said, "This must cost you a bomb." No, he says, "It's all sponsored." It's the first thing. The second thing is that knowing Hong Kong, where everybody's trying to outdo each other, I think, Jamina, that's your point, right? Actually, this works perfectly because these are people who would never stand in the queue. These are people who get into their Rolls Royce and they get driven everywhere. Doors are open for them. But in our shopping center, they stand in a queue to get their little pink or blue package. So
That's a
I
brilliant
am actually
insight.
very, I am actually a great enthusiast of break the mold with respect to a shopping center can be and can give service. And that leads me to ask a different question of both of you. The word service is both a noun and a gerund. It's a noun in the sense that it describes, I beg your pardon, it's a verb and a gerund. It's a verb in the sense that it describes that we are giving service. We're filling a glass of water or whatever. But it's a gerund because it represents, to my mind, services that a shopping center can provide. How do you feel about that? Can I give you an
Uh,
example? Key cutting, shoe repair, cell phone battery repair, Amazon and Swiggy delivery points. Thoughts?
I think the services, of course, can be very many. I don't think it's just restricted to these kind of services. And yes, today what is happening is that a lot of the things which were round the corner, for example, a cobbler, like you rightly said, a shoe service, is no longer as easily accessible. And when malls have kind of somehow made these high streets redundant, it's just right that we also get those high street services in. And even if it means at a compromise of a rental or whatever, because it's essential to get the customer in and then the customer spends elsewhere too. So that definitely becomes, and I think you raised a very important thing, because a challenge I feel today when I, as a shopper, not as a retail marketer, walk through shopping malls, the big challenge I see is that a lot of the online activities are impacting the merchandising offline. And if retailers decide to put the merchandise offline almost similar to the merchandise online, and international players do this. I don't have this in a Zara, I don't have this happening in an M&S, but I definitely have it. I mean, even a regular Indian supermarket in a mall or a hypermarket in a mall, they don't have the width, perhaps, what a big basket gives me. And then I question why, because they have a similar, online app or store. So once you start differentiating between your customer, the service aspect starts differentiating. Because a customer is hybrid, the retailer needs to be truly hybrid. And that includes the merchandising. Pricing, I think now everybody has realized customers immediately open their mobiles and check if it's cheaper elsewhere. So I think somewhere the price rationalization has definitely come in. But merchandise rationalization, no. I mean, in Diwali, I remember one of our retailers had a fantastic product, and it was a full page ad with that exciting Diwali merchandise just the weekend before Diwali. And I actually came in on Saturday to the mall and first walked to that store saying, "Hey, I want this in my size." And they said, "This is online only merchandise." And I said, "Why the hell did your marketing team then put all the high street and mall store addresses over there?" Now, I am thinking in my mind as a retailer that is lost sales. I have walked in, 10 other women like me would have walked in or wanted to walk in, and you're telling everybody no. And I actually stopped at even a high street store thinking maybe the mall store was bluffing to me. And I asked them on the way back that, "Do you have this?" And they told me the exact same thing. This is an online only range. So to me, when retailers do these kind of activities is when I feel like tearing my hair out, saying, why would you do a print ad with your store addresses and not have it in stores? Correct? So I
Yes.
think that is where service really comes, because frankly, as long as customers get the products they want at the right price, the frills are not as important. We focus on the frills, but the basics are where we really need to fix.
Yeah.
Uh, can,
George?
Donovan, can I add? Yeah, can I add something here?
Yes.
Okay. So the first part of my talk or whatever I said was mostly I was being a devil's advocate. And if Jamina's experience in terms of good customer service happening at a retailer, then maybe I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Uh, but to me, having done retail across the globe, I have once you've experienced the level of customer service, then everything else seems to be much smaller in the perspective. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example, and I'll give you an example from the mall's perspective. I was at uh, a retail come entertainment hub in Malaysia called Genting. I'm sure several of your viewers or would have been there. Uh, Now at Genting, which is a huge property, where they have casinos, they have eateries, they have uh, luxury shopping of all kinds. Uh, it so happened that I must have left my mobile phone somewhere, and I didn't realize until about an hour from that time that I don't have my phone. So imagine in a complex that big, that large, getting your mobile back. Okay. So went to the customer service desk there. They took all the information from me, including the make of the phone and my name, my email, I mean my ID and everything. Uh, Asked me the locations if I can trace some locations where I've been in the last, 1 or 2 hours, or since the last time I saw my phone. I was able to give it to them. All of this thing took no more than 5 to 6, 7 minutes. And then they gave me a seat. They said, "Please sit down. Uh, give us 10 minutes and we'll start working on it." Immediately, I saw they had their the housekeeping department with security all pitching in. They went to all the locations which I had pointed it out to them, and within, I think, in less than 10 minutes or 12 minutes, my phone was found in one of the stores where I had gone, where I was trying a pair of jeans, and I must have left it there. Uh, So, I mean, it's what I'm trying to say here is within 15, 20 minutes, and imagine you're in a foreign country and the phone is, I mean, I had personally, if you ask me, I had less than 1% of expectation that I'll get my phone back. Okay. Because of the fact my experiences in India have been like that the people and the mall management, even the good ones, have been very laxed when it comes to customer service. So
Dheeraj, I want to
that's
ask, may I interrupt and say that
yeah,
customer service is very much like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. I want to ask
yeah.
a more tactical, strategic question, to which I believe that there is an answer. Is
Okay.
customer
Yeah, go
service
ahead.
that which we're all
Uh,
confusing and we're discussing? Is it not in some way being conflated with a lack of skill associated with
it,
upskilling and
yes,
cross-selling? Upselling and
absolutely.
cross-selling. And this
Absolutely.
and this reaches across into one of the questions that I see is in the group. How is more management incentivizing customer delight activities at shopping centers? I'd like to answer that a
Right.
little bit differently and pick up on both your, Diraj, and Jamina's expertise. I'd like to say that shopping center managers, owners are rewarded with something called a revenue share. The better the sale, the stronger the additional rental we earn. So it is in our interests to encourage upselling, cross-selling, good customer service. What do you think?
Right. Oh, certainly. 100%. 100%. I mean, I completely agree with you. And one of the thoughts I have in my mind and is having mall loyalty programs, and not just having it for the namesake, but actually wherein every time you are in a mall, you are able to scan your card, which is a mall card, and so the mall owners, mall managers get to know that you're here. Okay, and which should come with certain privileges, some coming from the mall side, maybe assigned, not an assigned, but a dedicated parking for loyal customers. Okay,
All
this
right,
is from the
I've got an
mall
example.
side.
I've got an example for you.
Okay,
It's not yet
okay.
an Indian example, forgive me. It's an example of a shopping center called Palladium in Tehran, which I visited some
Right.
years ago. And
Uh-huh.
I was with a, a gentleman who actually owned the Spa brand in Iran at the time. And
Right.
as we drove down into the basement, what was very interesting was that the LCD screen in front must have said something in Farsi, something like welcome, and the
Right.
boom went up. And he immediately drove into the valet parking area where he was met by a very charming lady who said, welcome, sir. Is it your usual service that you want today? And she's holding a little phone. And
Right.
and then she all of this was in Farsi. Obviously, I didn't understand. But then she translated it because she realized that I didn't understand. So she says, I'm asking your colleague, the usual service is you're here for 2 hours and you want the car washed and nicely valeted. The extra service, and then she waffled on about all the other bits and pieces. We were only there for 2 hours. So he said, the usual, handed over the key. That was it. Within seconds, there was a ping on the cell phone. The
Right.
ping on the cell phone
Right.
acknowledged that the car was with them. And there was a big reminder in Farsi, but he translated it. When you want your car, hit the red button and we will have it ready within 15 minutes. Don't come and get the car and it's not there because it takes 15 minutes to get the car. We did our
Right.
shopping. We met the owner of the shopping center. We had a whole long conversation about this, that, and the other. We even had a quick lunch. And then he opens his phone and he hits the button. Bing. And then in the back of my mind, and as Jamina well knows, I count things. So I'm going 15 minutes, right? And we're walking and walking, and we get there within 12 or 13 minutes. There's the car. No payment. Keys are given to him. Thank you very much. The boomer opens. Thank you for shopping here again, Mr. Blah Blah. We get out.
Right.
Ping on the phone. Thank you. Your account has been debited for the valet service. Now, I'm thinking that for India, and for those of us who are involved with shopping centers, with the level of technology embedded in our beautiful country here, boy, wouldn't our well-heeled pay a premium for something like that? Jamina? Jamina, you're on mute. Jamina?
Dimple, can you try to unmute
No, no,
Jamina?
uh-oh. I mean, I don't mind being quiet, but we can't have Jamina and Diraj being quiet.
I think she'll have to unmute herself, Sheetal. I'm not able to do that from here.
Well, why don't you leave
Jamina,
a message?
Jamina?
Uh,
Uh-uh.
can she? Yes.
I can't do it from here either. Jamina, I can't do it from here. Uh-uh.
Jamina, try
Hey,
to log in again, maybe. That way, maybe it's gonna work. We can wait. In the meantime,
Jamina, we'll
Jonathan and
wait.
Dheeraj.
Okay, Diraj, what is your perspective
Yeah.
until Jamina
Okay.
comes back, please?
Okay. No, I mean, I absolutely don't feel it would be an issue for so-called well-heeled people, customers who are coming in there, for them to pay a small amount for the experience and the facility they are getting. Undoubtedly, it is all about today. It's all about how easy it is for and how enjoyable it is for me to do anything. So going to a mall, if I'm enjoying it, if it's making my life easier, and I'll tell you what, the reason I gave when I was talking about parking for loyal customers, we have a shopping mall in Gurgaon, which is the largest one. It's the Ambience Mall. If you go there on a weekend, it becomes almost impossible to find parking, despite of the fact that they have probably 2,000 car parkings. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, at locations like this, and I'm sure it happens with other malls which are very, very popular, especially on weekends or long weekends. Uh, so, a loyalty card which a mall gives for people who keep coming back, that becomes a privilege for them. Okay, where you might charge, you're still charging them, but you have one bay left only for those loyal customers to park. So they
Well,
know that
Diraj,
there's a, yeah.
I hold a particular view about parking. One of the questions that's in the group, and I find it actually quite invigorating to read, how is mall management incentivizing customer delight? I'd like to respond to that specific question and say that there are many things that we hold dear to us as shopping center owners. One of them is parking, obviously, because it's a return on investment on the construction and on the ongoing return on investment for the property. But the interesting thing about parking that I've always been taught over the last couple of years is that it is a means to an end. Parking is the sort of service that you have to use in order to derive the maximum value. I'll explain. If you have all your shops on a revenue share basis, and let us say your average revenue share is 10%, and let us say that your average parking rate is 100 rupees, you divide your 100 rupees by 10% and you get 1,000 rupees. How easy is it to say to customers who hate paying for parking, if you spend 1,000 rupees or more in our shopping center, parking is free? The interesting thing is
Oh
that it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah,
switch
absolutely.
in a
Oh
customer's
yeah,
mind.
absolutely,
Customers love
absolutely.
something for free, especially if it's parking.
Always, yeah,
Especially.
of
And
course.
the interesting thing is that the parking garage, from a construction point of view, is actually quite a boring little place. Unless you start doing what a lot of property developers in this country are doing, painting it, creating at least 500 lux level, keeping it clean, keeping it neat, putting little animal
Right,
decals on the pillars, and more
right,
importantly, giving bigger bay sizes for women and children and disabled bays, providing a, a special charging points, and creating a little bit of a fun, very much like a find my car kind of thing. And the remarkable thing is that customers actually quite enjoy it. Listen, garage,
Absolutely
Jamina,
right.
I am
Absolutely.
the worst customer in a parking garage. First of all, I don't pay attention much of the time. So if I park, I do expect to find my car where I think I left it. There's the problem. I may not remember where my car is parked. What do you do to delight a customer? Make sure they'll never forget where the car is parked. And when we were redeveloping Cavendish Square, Menlyn and Gateway in South Africa many, many years ago, one of my colleagues, he went along and he said, paint all the pillars a particular color, number all the bays, and to attract huge attention, put an elephant on one pillar, put a lion on another pillar. In India, put a tiger on one pillar. You'll never, ever, ever have somebody losing their car. More importantly, you're going to have people delighted by the experience of what is happening in shopping centers. Parking for
Donald, I
me
like to.
is
Yeah.
meant to be used. Parking for me is an opportunity, is a lost opportunity if we don't use it. And when people say to me, "Oh, my parking is full," I look at them and I go, "Imagine how much fuller your parking would be if you had a valet, if you did X with your parking, if you did Y with your parking." And therein, I think, lies a unique opportunity for shopping center and owners within the environment here in India and abroad.
Uh, See, I like to add one point here. One simple app like a geolocation app. If your loyal customers come and download that, which is provided by the shopping mall, that geolocation, they don't even have to then look for which stores are where. Okay, they can on their own. It is just like the apps we use when we are driving. Okay, so when if I want to see kids departments or food or eateries, exact eatery, all you have, if you have that app, you can see where you are and where you are going. Okay, it's a location based app. It's just pure geolocation. That will work also even for your parking. Once you
Well,
park your car, you put your location on there so you don't lose it. A simple app can you don't even need to have a large boards telling you where you are and where you have to go.
so
Okay, a
Diraj,
simple app can do it.
Diraj, many years ago, Jamina and I worked on a portfolio called the VR portfolio. And
Right.
we had a very special relationship with our shopping center in Surat, where we introduced an EMEI tracker. And all this thing did was attract people as they walked through the shopping center. We didn't even know who they were. The magic was when you connected the cell phone cell number to the EMEI, suddenly you had the owner's name and everything else. But what was interesting was we had these little trackers, exactly to your point, all over the mall, which meant that we could wind back where the customer had gone. Not only were we able to see hotspots and the distribution of customers through the shopping center, but we were also able to do exactly what you said in your first instance, to the point of one or two of the people in the chat. What are malls doing to attract good customer service and present good customer service? Well, we have these tracker facilities. They can be anonymous, but we know where you were, so we can help you find your cell phone if you get lost. Worse, we can help you find your child. Hell, we can even help you find your lost
Exactly.
husband if need be. We lost Jamina for a moment, and I must ask her to contribute in this particular area. Jamina, welcome back. What is your view, please? And don't touch any buttons.
Well, the buttons were just refusing to get touched by me, just to answer your
Uh,
question.
okay.
I think the point you were making was very right that in India we have a lot of tech and a lot of that is getting implemented. And Dheeraj, I must say, maybe I need to invite you down south where perhaps we are doing a better job. Because what you're talking about, finding parking slots, I think that was a pre pandemic feature. So, all these availabilities are there. Today, things like even your number plate recognition kind of softwares, you could use that to see the repeat frequency. You could see that to see how often your customers are coming, and that itself will give you throw light on what is making customers come again. Your point about mall loyalty programs is pretty valid, and there is a very big reason why mall loyalty programs aren't as many as they should be, and also why they aren't as successful as they seem on paper. The answer is very simple. The retailers have your customer data, not the mall. And for the
That's right.
customer, it becomes a double step that they tell the retailer about their details, and then they need to put some effort to tell the mall. I think the other big change, and the reason why, even if today somebody solves that problem, loyalty programs will not be successful, is that I think online and marketplace players like Amazon, Mintras have shown that loyalty points do not matter if they are getting an upfront discount or a value add. So
Exactly.
people are seeing, I mean, the traditional loyalty programs are honestly even otherwise kind of nearing their end of life, because if customers are getting an upfront discount of 100, 200, 500, they don't want to wait for a year to pick up that 500 rupee voucher. So there is a fundamental challenge. Today it has become more what I would like to say privileges programs, that I spend something today, and I think Select City Walk was the forerunner
Mm,
in this. 20 years back they came up with this. You shop today, come here and collect incentives
mm.
to shop. So it's become more a privileges program. Loyalty programs per se, other than airlines and hotels for frequent flyers, business flyers, are not really flying off the shelves. That's a reality in the marketing world. That's the big customer habit change which has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, this loyalty issue hit us in shopping centers around 20 years ago, until people realized that the concept of breakage, in other words, the amount of money that's left on the card unspent, presents a massive opportunity to somebody. And the Reserve Bank in India said, you can't, shopping center can't take that money back for a year or for 2 years. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the cash flow required to support a loyalty program is quite massive, because you always have to be on your back foot. You have to presume that every customer with an amount of money owing to them is going to come and draw their money out. Imagine if that happened, you'd go bankrupt. So loyalty programs, I think, to Jamina's point, have actually lost a little bit of their luster. But the concept of a privilege card and can can actually work particularly well in Southeast Asia, because we understand privilege and we understand that some people spend more than others. As a result, they are allowed a little bit more of an indulgence. Or if you really want to feel special, you can pay a little bit more and you can get the splash and all the other things. Does that kind of deal with it?
And okay, yeah, Jamina, I would say I'm just going to give you an example of a loyalty program which has been practiced in India forever. Okay, and I can give you a very simple example. Uh, if you go to a local vegetable fruit seller, okay, who has a small shop, or even the guys who come on the street to sell it, the people, it's a common thing, at least in the north of India, that they'll give you, when you buy a bunch of vegetables, they'll give you, some things for free. Okay, it could be dhania, it could be, small things. They'll just put it in there for free. Okay, but the quantity is not the same for everyone. People who are their best customers, who always buy from them, that is extended to them at a larger, in terms of quantity. So I'm just saying, everybody, if I'm spending my money and I'm spending most of my money at one place and I'm a loyal customer, I need to be treated better than the others.
Okay.
And
So
so,
when we walk into a shopping center, wouldn't you like to be greeted? Hello, sir. Hello,
oh yeah,
madam.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if possible, I mean, if they, I mean, yes, she
Well,
did give a
Jamina and
right
I were doing
example.
that. Jamina and I were doing that 15, 16 years ago in a very large shopping center here in Bangalore. Everybody who walked into the mall were greeted. Hello. And then as you
Yes,
left, if you happened to have bumped into a security guard or a cleaner, they were saying, thank you for coming to this particular mall. So it is
yes,
possible. It is
it is
possible.
possible. Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And if you can be a little more personalized, where you can using analytics again, probably where they come and they say, okay, Mr. Dogra, good to see you again. And you probably never met the person before. Uh, but the fact that you are a loyal customer, you're being addressed individually. I think that adds to your a feeling of satisfaction that okay, my loyalty is being recognized. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I
I'm very
feel. I mean,
forgive me, I'm just conscious of time, and as a good moderator, or as the sort of moderator from hell that you probably think I am, I want to keep the conversation moving, and I've got to look after our audience. Otherwise, Sheetal is going to be very upset with me. And I'm reading the chat, and I've got something for you to consider, Jamina. The question is, and this is a lovely, challenging question. I'm not going to mention the person's name. Of late, we've seen a reversal in the trend wherein customers are happy going to well-developed hybrid high streets rather than shopping centers. And the question, I'm going to turn this around, do you think that shopping centers are losing their luster? And if they are, what are the things that the high street are doing that we should be doing in our shopping centers? Tamina.
So I think there is a big difference between high streets and shopping centers, at least particularly in India, where high streets are not well maintained. In summer, you have the problem of power outages, so you're probably walking on a street with thousands of generators spewing smoke at that. In India, we still offer a very good advantage, which is the ability to park, the ability to walk on a proper smooth surface, air-conditioned environment, safe environment, facilities like washrooms, as well as of course F&B options, because shopping is a very tiring exercise. So I don't think it's losing in India. Where we are losing to high street is when you are having less of local brands and you're not attending to small needs. So for example, I'm not sure whether somebody can really do their complete wedding shopping in a mall. You know, that's where
Yeah.
high streets do come in. For
Yes.
certain specific stuff, do your retailers really stock it? No. Organized retail has failed, and which is where even those organized retailers on a high street are not servicing. So when shoppers are going to the high street, they are going for brands which are otherwise not in the malls. And I think online guys have done a damn good job of it. I mean, if you see what the quick commerce players have done, right from Rakhi to Onam to even Janmashtami, and recently we saw Karwa Chauth and those kind of festivals, they actually do these special flowers and offerings and clothing available. They open at 5 in the morning. So, Blinkit did this
Yes.
brilliant thing for Karwa Chauth. They started at 5 a.m. because women need to eat before sunrise at 7 a.m. And that no high street or mall kind of thought of doing, right? So how well do you know your customer, and how much are you willing to take that step to go forward and do? I mean, if I take a festival like Janmashtami, and I've been quite a few years around Delhi earlier during this festival, and the high streets are filled with these baby dresses of little Radha and little Krishna, and you never ever see them in the mall, right?
No.
You have retailers, but nobody has planned them.
But
So
can I interrupt you? When you and I started working together all those years ago, what do you remember you and I used to talk about? Local is good.
yes, like
Embrace the local. And I want this particular concept to resonate with our valued Southeast Asia members. I'm an outsider. I'm from South Africa. Hell, what do I know? But when Jamina and I started working together on this particular very big mall in Bangalore, we both came to the same conclusion that we could not turn our back on the local Indianness that makes an Indian retail experience count. So we developed a leasing and an operation and a marketing strategy, hey, Jamina, which
yeah.
suggested that our malls were going to be big and beautiful. Oh, but my God, they were going to be Indian. When you came from Delhi, to your point, Duraj, and you walked into this mall in Bangalore, you felt its Indianness with its sari and its mehendi and its scents and its smells and its pujas. And I want to know, why it is that people tend to think, well, the Western view is the best view, when in fact in the Indian environment it is not, or in the Southeast Asian environment it certainly is not. And why can't we incorporate local? And if you now start looking at the nature of our cities, Jamina, you're particularly involved in a massive shopping center, plonk in the middle of an area that was recently underserved by retail. And now look at that property. That is the epitome of a hyper local shopping center. It dominates its locale. I have the privilege of managing 6 such shopping centers here in the south part of Bangalore. I've got 6 of these things, all of them beautifully hyper local, dominant in their respective markets. We must not forget the importance of what it means to be local, because the people who come to our shopping center, they're expecting in India, the Indianness, in Sri Lanka, the Lankan, and elsewhere, that feel. We mustn't lose that. And that's probably one of the reasons why the question was asked about the high street, because the high street is still very local. Comments?
I think you've encapsulated what we were trying to say. I don't know if there are
Thank
any
you.
more questions.
No, there is one more question. Sorry, Diraj, just quickly, and then I've got one question from a particular Sri Lankan member, and I want to make sure that we ask it. Can I carry on, Diraj? Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, thank you. The question is, integrating customer data with mall management data is great, but the bigger issue is customer data security. And then he carries on in his question about the importance of AI. When we start looking at the digital as it impacts on our environment, the physical built environment, what are the things that we in the real estate world should consider? Diraj, can you respond on that? It's security, it's the digital environment, it's the AI. What, in your experience, do you think is important?
Well, I mean, I think all of these things are important, especially what has been happening lately, at least in India, I can tell you the amount of cyber fraud which is going on every single day, and I can vouch for that. At least so many people I know, including myself, every day you get messages, phone calls, which are predominantly they're trying to take your information, steal your information, steal your accounts. So there is so much of cyber fraud. So keep and Indian law enforcement, with due respect to them, they are still not very well equipped in terms of how data security, how important it is. So all of us must be facing this here in India, that you keep getting WhatsApp messages for for various things, and
All
phone
right.
calls. So
Do you
I
think,
think that is a very valid point, and it really requires that and when we are at the forefront of technology globally, the Southeast Asians, they also need to fix that in their own homes.
okay,
That
I've been given I'm sorry, Diraj, I've been given a hard stop in 4 minutes. Jamina, would you like to respond in 2 minutes, and then I shall wrap up, please?
I think a lot of places, right from GDPR, the data privacy has come up, whether the system allows it or not, and which is what a lot of solutions are built with, because a lot of solutions, even in India, are not just built for India, they're built for global markets. The way to do it is that how do you know it's a person X? It doesn't have to be that this is Dheeraj or this is Jonathan or this is Sheetal. And that's how a lot of data is actually being analyzed today. The point is, what is the investment you're willing to make at a mall level, and how are you planning to use the data? Because the biggest problem I have seen, and I have seen it across retail formats, not just in shopping centers, there is a lot of data, but does everybody really read it? And can it be made simple that management actually takes, the right data is shown to them, the right trend is shown to them. And if you're able to do it, you know, can really unearth a lot of magical insights. We have been doing that, and with our customer surveys, and Jonathan knows how much I love my Excel sheets and analysis and cross tabs. And
Yes.
when we look at some of these on a quarterly basis, there are very clear directions on what our customers want. So, yeah.
Very, very much so. I've got a minute. So the first thing I'm going to say is thank you very, very much to Dheeraj and Jamina for giving up of your time today, to the RICS executive on the call for arranging this. I know that it's sometimes like arranging and herding cats. It's not easy, but you did a very good job, Sheetal and Dimple. Thank you very, very much. I'd like to thank all the participants. I see that we have a lot of people in the group today, and very much appreciate you all participating. I think that over 55, 60 is something of a record for us. Some learning points. Fundamental Property 101, Rule 1. Do not call your shopping center a mall or a shopping center unless you own all of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is that service is both a verb and a gerund. You can provide services and you can provide good service. And the third thing is do not forget that if you want your shopping environment to be the best in your location, offer a healthy dose of whatever is local, whether, as Jamina and Dheeraj says, it's services, it's clothing, it's food. Boy, that's what's going to make people latch on and come back. My experience in shopping centers is that it's the comeback, the return, that is exceptionally important. All right, I think we close. I thank you. And Sheetal, I think that we have one more such session planned for early next year.
Absolutely.
Good.
I would like to
Thank you very
thank all
much.
of you, for taking out time, and of course the attendees. Thank you so much. We'll definitely keep doing such kind of knowledge-based sharing sessions, and please do join us.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Donovan. Thank you,
Thank
Jamina.
you. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy the afternoon.
Yep. Thank you.